I once had what I thought was the perfect life. A beautiful suburban home with Jake, my husband of 5 years. We were the couple everyone envied. My sister Amanda and I had always been close growing up, sharing everything from clothes to secrets. But lately, something felt off. Jake was working late more often, being secretive with his phone. I tried to ignore the unease in my stomach when I noticed strange text messages appearing on his screen. The perfect life I thought I had built was starting to show cracks. If you are watching this from somewhere where family betrayal has touched your life too, let me know in the comments, and hit subscribe to join me on this journey of healing. I met Jake 8 years ago at my friend Taylor's summer barbecue. He was charming, witty, and had this way of making me feel like I was the only person in the room. Our eyes locked across the crowded backyard, and within minutes we were deep in conversation about everything from our favorite books to our dreams for the future. I remember thinking that night that I had never connected with anyone so quickly. Our romance was a whirlwind. After just 3 months of dating, Jake took me to a scenic lookout point where we had our first date and got down on one knee. The ring was beautiful, a family heirloom he said his grandmother had given him specifically for the one. I was floating on air. 10 months after meeting, we were engaged, and I could not wait to start our life together. The wedding was everything I had dreamed of as a little girl. Amanda was my maid of honor, of course. She helped with every detail from picking out my dress to arranging the flowers. During her speech at our reception, she tearfully said how happy she was that I had found someone who deserved me. Jake and I danced under the stars, and I truly believed that this was my happily ever after. After the honeymoon in Hawaii, we moved into our dream home in the suburbs. It had a white picket fence and a big backyard where we planned to raise our future children. Jake was climbing the ladder at his financial advisory firm, making partner by our second anniversary. I was building my graphic design business, working from our home office and gaining more clients each month. We talked about starting a family once my business was more established, maybe after our third anniversary. The first 3 years were mostly blissful. We hosted dinner parties, took weekend trips to the coast, and seemed to be living the American dream. I would catch Jake looking at me sometimes with such tenderness that it took my breath away. But looking back, I wonder if there were signs even then that I missed in my happiness. The trouble began subtly. Jake started working late more often. At first it was once a week, then twice, then almost every night. His phone became an extension of his hand, and he would turn it face down whenever I entered the room. When messages came through late at night, he would say they were from clients in different time zones or colleagues with emergencies. Our intimacy began to fade. Not just physically, though, that became rare too, but emotionally. Jake seemed distant, distracted. When I would talk about my day or my dreams for our future, his eyes would glaze over. He stopped asking about my work, something he had always taken an interest in before. At first, I blamed myself. Was I boring him? Had I gained weight? Was I not attentive enough to his needs? I started dressing up more, tried new recipes, planned surprise date nights. Nothing seemed to bridge the growing gap between us. When I finally gathered the courage to confront him about the changes, Jake dismissed my concerns completely. "You are being paranoid," he said, not meeting my eyes. "Work is stressful right now. Not everything is about you, Sophia." His words stung, and I retreated, feeling foolish for having brought it up. During a family dinner the following Sunday, I tried to subtly ask for advice, mentioning that Jake and I seemed to be going through a rough patch. My mother immediately asked what I had done wrong. My father suggested I try harder to be the kind of wife a man comes home to. Amanda surprisingly defended Jake. "He works so hard to give you that beautiful house and lifestyle," she said. "Maybe you need to be more understanding of the pressure he is under." I threw myself into saving our marriage. I planned elaborate surprise dates, bought tickets to see his favorite band, even suggested marriage counseling. Jake refused the counseling, saying we did not need a stranger in our business. "Every marriage has ups and downs," he said dismissively. "Stop making mountains out of molehills." I confided in Amanda, seeking the sisterly support I had always counted on. Her response was oddly defensive of Jake. "Men need their space sometimes," she told me over coffee. "Jake is a good guy. Most women would be grateful for what you have." Something about her tone made me uncomfortable, but I pushed the feeling aside. She was my sister, after all. the person I had trusted most my entire life. The first concrete evidence came in the form of unexplained charges on our shared credit card statement. 3 separate charges from the Westlake Hotel downtown on days Jake had claimed to be working late. When I asked him about them, his explanation came too quickly. Client meetings in their business center. They serve food and drinks, so I put it on the card. I can get reimbursed if you are worried about the money. It was not about the money. It was about the lie I could see in his eyes. The way he changed the subject immediately afterward. The way he became unusually attentive that evening, bringing home flowers and suggesting we open a bottle of wine. I tried to meet Amanda for coffee the next day to talk things through, but she was suddenly unavailable. Swamped at work, her text read, "Rain check." It was unusual for her to turn down one of our coffee dates. We had made them a priority for years, no matter how busy we were. Jake began taking weekend business trips about once a month. Strangely, Amanda often seemed to be unavailable during those same weekends. When I mentioned this coincidence to my mother, she told me I was looking for problems where there are none and that I should trust my husband and sister more. One day, while shopping at the mall, I ran into Amanda coming out of a jewelry store. Around her neck was a delicate gold necklace with a small diamond pendant, one I had not seen before. When I complimented it, she touched it reflexively and said it was just something new she had treated herself to. 2 weeks later, I found a receipt in Jake's jacket pocket from the same jewelry store dated the day before I had seen Amanda wearing the necklace. When I asked him about it, he claimed he had bought a gift for his mother's upcoming birthday. The pieces were there, but I would not put them together. The truth was too painful to acknowledge. Then came the phone call. I was in the kitchen when I overheard Jake on the phone in his office, his voice low and intimate. "I miss you too," he was saying. "No, she has no idea. See you tomorrow." When he emerged from the office and saw me standing there, he quickly ended the call. "Work," he said, not meeting my eyes. "The Johnson account." We had no clients named Johnson. When I asked who he had really been talking to, his demeanor changed instantly. He became angry, defensive. "Are you spying on me now?" he demanded. "What is wrong with you lately? This paranoia is getting out of control." He stormed out of the house and did not come back until after midnight. I was scheduled to fly to San Francisco for a 3-day conference with a major client. The morning of my flight, the client called to reschedule for the following week. Instead of telling Jake about the change in plans, something made me decide to keep it to myself. I called a taxi to take me to the airport at the scheduled time, then had it drive me around for an hour before returning home. When I pulled up to our house, my heart stopped. Jake's car was in the driveway as expected since he was working from home that day, but parked behind it was Amanda's red Mazda. I paid the driver with shaking hands and quietly used my key to enter through the side door. The house was quiet, but I heard faint music coming from upstairs, our bedroom. I climbed the stairs slowly, each step feeling like I was walking toward the end of my world as I knew it. The bedroom door was partially open. I pushed it gently, and there they were. My husband and my sister in our bed, so engrossed in each other they did not even notice me standing there until I dropped my purse on the floor. The look on their faces is something I will never forget. Shock, then guilt, then something else. Not remorse, but annoyance at being caught. They scrambled to cover themselves as I stood frozen in the doorway, unable to speak, unable to move. Jake found his voice first. "Sophia, this is not what it looks like," he began the oldest line in the book. When I finally laughed, a hollow, broken sound, he changed tactics. I was lonely. "You are always working, always focused on your clients instead of me. Things just happened." Amanda, my sister, my best friend, since childhood, looked at me with cold eyes I did not recognize. "He was never really happy with you," she said, reaching for her clothes. "He needed someone who understood him, who put him first." "We did not mean for this to happen," Jake added, as if that made it better somehow. "But we are in love, Sophia. It just happened. In love." The words hit me like physical blows. This was not a one-time mistake. This was an affair, a relationship, a betrayal. So complete it left no corner of my life untouched. I do not remember leaving the house. I remember sitting in my car, unsure where to go. I checked into a hotel downtown and sat on the edge of the bed staring at the wall as my phone exploded with notifications. Jake, Amanda, my mother, my father. Everyone wanted to talk, to explain, to justify. I listened to one voicemail from my mother. Sophia, you need to come home and discuss this like adults. Family comes first. Always. Call me back immediately. Another from my father. This situation is unfortunate, but we need to keep this within the family. No need for outsiders to know our business. Call us. And finally, one from Amanda. It has been going on for almost 2 years. You deserve to know the truth. We never wanted to hurt you. 2 years. Half of my marriage had been a lie. Every family dinner, every holiday, every time Amanda had listened sympathetically to my marital concerns, she had been sleeping with my husband. The betrayal was absolute. 1 week after discovering the affair, my parents arranged what they called a reconciliation dinner at their house. I had been staying with my friend Taylor, the only person who seemed firmly in my corner. Against her advice, I agreed to attend the dinner, if only to say my piece before walking away for good. The scene in my parents' dining room was surreal. Jake and Amanda sat side by side, not quite touching, but clearly a unit. My mother had prepared all my favorite foods, as if a good pot roast could heal this level of betrayal. My father sat at the head of the table playing patriarch. My grandmother was there, too silent but watchful. We are here to heal as a family. My mother began passing the mashed potatoes as if this were any Sunday dinner. What has happened is unfortunate, but family must come first. Blood is thicker than water. Jake cleared his throat. Sophia, I want to apologize for how you found out. It was never our intention to hurt you. Not an apology for the affair itself, I noticed, just for my discovery of it. But these things happen in life. People grow apart. People find unexpected connections. Amanda dabbed at her eyes with a napkin, though I noticed no actual tears. Around her neck was the diamond necklace Jake had bought her. I never meant for this to happen, she said. But you have to understand, when feelings this strong come along, you cannot fight them. My father reached for his wine glass. Sophia has always been headstrong, he said to Jake, as if I were not sitting right there. But she is practical too. She will see that divorce is messy and expensive. Better to come to some arrangement that keeps the peace. I sat in stunned silence as they continued, my mother suggesting I could move into their rental property while I sorted myself out. Jake mentioning that the prenuptial agreement was quite clear about asset division. Amanda wondering if I might want to relocate, since it would be awkward to run into each other around town. The final straw came from my grandmother, who had been silent until then. She patted my hand and said, "Sometimes a woman must look the other way to keep her family intact. I did with your grandfather. It is just how men are." Something inside me that had been bending for years finally broke. But unlike their expectations, I did not shatter. I stood up my chair, scraping loudly against the floor. "Let me be perfectly clear," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "There will be no reconciliation. There will be no arrangement. There will be no looking the other way." I turned to Jake. "You did not just betray me with a random woman. You chose my sister. You brought your betrayal into my family, my childhood home, my sense of safety. That is not something anyone just does or cannot help. That is calculated cruelty. To Amanda. You were my best friend since we shared a bedroom with pink wallpaper and stuffed animals. You were the maid of honor at my wedding. You held my hand when I had my appendix out, and I held yours when you broke up with your first boyfriend. And all that time, those shared memories meant so little that you could sleep with my husband in my bed for 2 years. There is no coming back from that kind of betrayal. To my parents, and you two, you have always favored Amanda, always made excuses for her. But this goes beyond favoritism. This is asking me to degrade myself to accept being treated as worthless by the people who should value me most. That ends today." Jake's face had turned red with anger. "You are making a scene," he hissed. "This is exactly why things happened as they did. You are always so dramatic, so difficult. If you insist on this path, do not expect any generosity in the divorce. My lawyer will make sure of that. His threat crystallized everything for me. This man who had vowed to love and protect me was now threatening me, and my family was sitting there allowing it, even supporting it. Generosity, I laughed. You cheated on me with my sister for 2 years and you talk about generosity. I do not want anything from you except distance. I walked out of that dinner and straight to the best divorce attorney in the city, one Taylor had already researched for me. Lisa Hamilton had a reputation for being a barracuda, especially in high-conflict divorces involving infidelity. What we discovered during the legal process only confirmed that my decision to cut ties was the right one. Jake had been moving money into separate accounts for months, preparing for an eventual separation on his terms. He had loaned substantial sums to Amanda that were never meant to be repaid. He had been documenting supposed flaws in our marriage, creating a narrative of me as work-obsessed and emotionally unavailable. Amanda actually testified during a deposition that I had been a cold and neglectful wife who had driven Jake to seek emotional connection elsewhere. My parents provided financial support to both Jake and Amanda during the proceedings, even helping them rent an apartment together while the divorce was pending. But Jake had forgotten one crucial detail. Our prenuptial agreement, which he had been so smug about, included a fidelity clause his lawyer had insisted on to protect him. The clause worked both ways, and now it would cost him. With evidence of the affair well documented, including text messages subpoenaed from their phones, the financial outcome shifted dramatically in my favor. I walked away with our house, which I promptly sold, my business intact, and a settlement that would allow me to start over comfortably. Jake's threats had backfired completely. The final divorce decree came through exactly 6 months after that fateful day. I had come home early from my canceled trip. I moved to Seattle, a city where I had always wanted to live, but Jake had dismissed as too rainy and liberal. I bought a modern apartment downtown with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Sound. I cut off all contact with Jake, Amanda, and my parents, blocking their numbers and emails and setting all my social media to private. Those first holidays alone were harder than I expected. Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, birthdays, days when family traditionally comes together. I cried a lot those first few months, not for Jake or even for Amanda, but for the loss of what I thought I had. The marriage, the sister, the supportive parents, the future I had planned. But I also began building something new. Taylor visited often. I joined a support group for people estranged from family members where I met Sarah and Diego, who became close friends. I found a therapist who specialized in betrayal trauma. I threw myself into my design work, landing bigger clients in my new city. Slowly, I began to create a life that was authentically mine. Those first 2 years after the divorce were a time of rebuilding. My graphic design business flourished in Seattle's creative environment. I expanded from 1 employee to 5, taking on projects for major tech companies and startups. The apartment by the Sound became truly my home, decorated exactly as I wanted, without compromising for anyone else's taste. My support group became a lifeline. Meeting weekly with others who understood family estrangement helped me process my grief without the toxic messaging that I should forgive and forget for the sake of family harmony. Sarah, Diego, and I formed our own mini-family, celebrating holidays together and supporting each other through difficult anniversaries and triggers. Dating again was terrifying at first. The thought of trusting someone after such profound betrayal seemed impossible. My therapist helped me navigate this new landscape, reminding me that not everyone is like Jake and Amanda, while also helping me develop healthier boundaries and recognize red flags I had previously ignored. I went on a few dates, some better than others. I was transparent about my past, using it as a filter of sorts. Those who responded with empathy rather than curiosity or judgment made it to second dates. Those who suggested I should get over it, or forgive for my own sake, did not. There were still moments of doubt and loneliness. Nights when I questioned my decision to cut off all contact with my family. Mornings when I woke up wondering if I would ever fully trust again. But those moments became less frequent as time passed. 18 months after the divorce, my cousin Rachel, the only family member I still occasionally spoke with, called with news. "I thought you should hear it from someone who cares about you," she said hesitantly. Jake and Amanda broke up. Apparently, he cheated on her too with his assistant. Amanda moved back in with your parents. I felt nothing but a strange sense of inevitability. Of course he had cheated on Amanda. People rarely change their fundamental character. "Thank you for telling me," I said to Rachel, "but honestly, their lives are not my concern anymore." That was true, but the universe seemed determined to keep me updated. Amanda tried reaching out through various social media accounts I had forgotten to block. My parents sent birthday and Christmas cards filled with guilt-inducing messages about family and forgiveness. Through the grapevine, I heard Jake had made some poor investment decisions and was struggling financially. According to Rachel, they all somehow blamed me for their problems. Amanda claimed my negativity had jinxed her relationship with Jake. My parents suggested that my stubborn refusal to reconcile had brought bad karma to the family. Jake apparently told mutual acquaintances that the stress of the divorce had caused him to make bad business decisions. I was 3 years post-divorce and firmly established in my new life when the unexpected meeting occurred. I was at my favorite coffee shop working on designs for a new client when I heard a familiar voice ordering at the counter. I looked up, and there was Amanda, thinner than I remembered with dark circles under her eyes. She saw me at the same moment. For a second, we just stared at each other across the bustling coffee shop. Then she picked up her drink and walked hesitantly to my table. "Sophia," she said, her voice small. "Can I sit down?" Against my better judgment, I nodded. She slid into the chair across from me, clutching her coffee cup like a lifeline. "I did not know you were in Seattle," I said, finally breaking the awkward silence. "I moved here last month," she replied. "I needed a fresh start after everything. Everything being Jake cheating on you." The words came out sharper than I intended, but I did not apologize. Amanda flinched but nodded. "He was having affairs the entire time, even when we were." She trailed off, unable to finish the sentence. "When you were betraying me together, I finished for her. Imagine that. A man who would cheat with his wife's sister might not be trustworthy." Tears filled her eyes. "I deserve that. I deserve worse. I came to Seattle partly hoping I might run into you eventually. To apologize, though, I know it cannot fix anything." She told me how her life had unraveled. Jake had cheated with multiple women throughout their relationship. When she confronted him, he became verbally abusive, revealing a side of himself I had never seen during our marriage. Their breakup was messy and public. Friends took sides. She lost her job because of the drama. Our parents had taken her in, but constantly reminded her of their disappointment. "Mom and Dad are not well," she added quietly. "Dad had a minor heart attack last year. Mom's arthritis is getting worse. They talk about you all the time. They want to make amends." I felt a twinge of something, not quite sympathy, but not the burning anger I had carried for so long either. It felt more like pity. Amanda had made her choices and was living with the consequences. My parents had chosen sides and were now regretting that choice. "I am sorry to hear about Dad's heart," I said sincerely, "but I cannot step back into that dynamic. Not for them, not for you, not even for me." Amanda nodded, understanding in her eyes for perhaps the first time. "I would not expect you to. I just wanted to say I am sorry. Truly sorry. What I did was unforgivable. I see that now." As I looked at my sister, the person who had known me longer than anyone else in the world and had still chosen to betray me so completely, I realized something profound. I did not hate her anymore. I did not love her either. She had become someone from my past, a character in the story of my life, but no longer an active participant. "I hope you find peace, Amanda," I said, gathering my things to leave. "I really do, but it cannot be through me." The encounter with Amanda marked a turning point in my healing. I realized I had moved from survival mode to truly living again. My design business continued to thrive. I had found a community of friends who showed me what healthy relationships look like. And 6 months after seeing Amanda, I met Michael. Unlike Jake, Michael was transparently honest sometimes to a fault. A software engineer with an unwavering moral compass, he made me laugh and challenged me intellectually. He understood my boundaries around family and never pushed me to reconcile or move on before I was ready. Our relationship progressed naturally, built on a foundation of mutual respect and genuine friendship. My chosen family expanded. Sarah and Diego, Michael and his sister Lily, my employees who became friends. Taylor's still my rock after all these years. We celebrated holidays together, took vacations, as a group supported each other through life's challenges. I realized family is not about blood. It is about who shows up for you consistently with love and respect. 5 years after discovering Jake and Amanda together, I received a letter from my father. His handwriting was shakier than I remembered. He wrote about getting older, about regrets, about the grandchildren he would never know if we did not reconcile. It was manipulative in its way, but I could also sense a genuine sadness between the lines. I did not respond, but I did not throw the letter away either. I was secure enough in my boundaries to acknowledge that relationships are complex, that people are flawed, that forgiveness does not necessarily mean reconciliation. I had forgiven them in my heart for my own peace, but that did not mean I needed to invite them back into my life. The wisdom I gained through this painful journey is something I would never wish on anyone, but I also would not trade it for the comfortable illusion I lived in before. I learned that self-respect must come before family ties when those ties become toxic chains. I learned that betrayal reveals people's true character, not just in the moment of betrayal, but in how they handle its aftermath. I discovered the profound freedom that comes with cutting off toxicity, even when society tells us that family should be forgiven anything. I built a life based on authenticity rather than appearances, finding a happiness that does not depend on others' approval or validation. Perhaps most importantly, I learned that forgiveness is for yourself, not for those who betrayed you. It is about releasing the anger that binds you to them, not about welcoming them back to hurt you again. And real love, the kind worth building your life around, always includes respect and honesty. It is never found through betrayal, no matter how passionate or seemingly meant to be. Have you ever had to cut ties with family members who betrayed your trust? How did you rebuild your life afterward? Share your story in the comments below. If this resonated with you, please like and subscribe to my channel for more stories of healing and transformation. Remember that you deserve relationships built on respect and trust, nothing less. Thank you for listening, and I wish you all the strength you need for your own journey.